Ernie Yarbrough here. Super excited to be back with you for our new theme in the month of August, which is back to school. And I've got two very special friends and guests with me today. Guys, introduce yourself, or gals, guy and gal, actually.
I'm Chase Harrison.
And I'm Amber Harrison.
Jay, she's much prettier than you, by the way.
She's a lot prettier than me. That's good. We only have this on
I'm in the same condition
video
too with my wife, so it's all good. Yeah, no. So we're super excited for as we continue with a whole new website and series of classes and courses to launch into a new round of material for our Oleat peeps. And we thought it would be a great month to consider this back to school topic. And what better to do than to bring a mom who is, in Amber's case, a homeschooling mom, but a mom who is really, a lot's going on in the world with school and kids and fear and what do we do and how do we handle this? And, we here at Oleat, our desire and passion is always in all things health and wellness to empower individuals to live in confidence and not in fear. And so as we've looked at this entire scenario nationally with the struggle of back to school, and normally when we would do this, we would just talk about, which we will get to in later episodes, right? Tips for concentration, aids for learning, natural, whether it's even oils or sleep or the environment that you do your school in or whatever. But I felt like it was just really important to address this topic first because it's kind of looming and hanging over all of the situations of back to school. And so I thought, what better to do in this month than to bring in a mom who is there on the front lines with her kids and is waging some of these battles herself. And so today we want to talk about this idea of back to school, boosting immunity and lowering fear. And so I wanted to start off by just throwing this concept out there for discussion of, I think that, as Oleat, we talk about health. Health is, we want to simplify things, right? Not that the human body isn't complex, but we want to simplify this idea of health in the sense that it's understandable. It's not some nameless monster, right? And so we talk about health simply, as Dr. JB says, it is getting rid of toxins and shoring up deficiencies. And so maybe Amber, just talk for a minute about that view of health and how that simple but powerful view of health empowers moms to be confident that they can make decisions and they don't have to live in fear for their family.
I think that's a huge thing for me as a mom is being aware of things I can do to be proactive with my children. And when you can be prepared and you understand, like you said, deficiencies or stuff like that, you can be prepared in your home to be proactive and to be able to be prepared if they were to get sick. It's inevitable in childhood that we are going to get sick. In humanity, we're gonna get sick. And if you're not scared of it, then you're prepared when it happens. And I think that's the most important way to empower people is to don't have this view of I'm never going to get sick. If my kids get sick, it's the end of the world, because our kids are going to get sick. And that's just how our bodies are designed. We have, germs on us and around us at all times. And the more we're aware of different vitamins and oils and supplements and all of that, and how our bodies can use those to be at their best, the less fearful we will be of them. One of my favorite analogies is that, like, if you have an army and you're feeding them junk food, they're going to not fight at their best. But if you feed them the water and the protein and all the stuff they need, then the army itself is going to perform at its best. And to me, my children's immune systems are the same way. I can feed them garbage and their immune systems are going to behave as if they've been fed garbage, or I can feed them the best supplies for their immune system and their immune systems are going to be strong and ready to fight the way they were designed to.
Yeah, it seems like in a lot of what you're saying, that one of the things you're driving at, that health there in its most basic form, to not be afraid. People need to understand the basics of even how they're made, their body systems. I know Chase has spent a good bit of time of uploading classes and getting things prepared on the new platform. Maybe Chase, just talk for a minute of how you think that JB's classes on body systems help empower moms to not live in fear in regards to making decisions of health for their kids.
Yeah, so I think it's a great tool, especially that Oleat offers. First off, Dr. Jim Bob, we value his expertise a lot. We always have. He's a great friend of ours, but even aside from that, he's very knowledgeable in body systems in general. I think it's why Oleat took that on as a major portion of our courses. so that people could individually kind of see how they work, how they were designed, how they were designed by God to work, and what things that we can do, every day, simple things, nothing. The beauty of his lessons are nothing's complicated. It's very straightforward. It's very easy to understand. It's why we do those and we put them up in our courses in the Ole Up Plus, because they're easy to understand. They're easy for. I am not the greatest person. I'll be the first to tell you, with medical jargon and big things like that, and trying to understand and decipher all of it. And he puts it in a way that's very simple to understand. And we get to learn from an expert in a very simple way of how what our bodies need to function just the way God designed them to. So I love them.
Yeah, I think that's a great point that JB points out too, that, the very first line of defense that we have, you think about being parents and having kids, and you want to protect your children. You want to empower them and protect them and help them to be able to be independent and make decisions that are good and healthy for themselves. But we have to, first of all, be knowledgeable and empowered in order to do that. And I think one of the awesome things about JB's classes is that, right now it's not being talked a lot about, at least in the mainstream, probably a lot in not mainstream, but that the front line of defense that we have for our health is not something outside of us, right? It's your immune system. And I think that to me is an empowering message that I want moms to hear. And I think, Amber, you can speak to this, that you already possess the basic tools that are the frontline defense for your health. And so, as Chase was saying, then it becomes a matter of education. It becomes a matter of understanding what those frontline tools are that make up your immune system. And then how can I shore up the deficiencies and remove the toxins? So maybe, Amber, talk for a minute about just the revolutionary idea. It seems revolutionary to people, but the freeing idea that I think it would be to moms to understand that the frontline defense of health you have is in your body.
Absolutely. I think one of the most freeing things for me, and I won't go into it because I know that could be construed as medical advice, but one of the freeing things for me as a mom was learning about fevers and how those play into the immune system. And that took a lot of fear out of fevers, because I learned that they were the immune system doing their thing. They're not a symptom, they're a response. And so when you learn that different things, I remember runny noses. I remember a mom who was older than me who had more kids, and I was like, their nose just won't stop running. And she was like, better out than in, just little things like that of that's the immune system getting rid of what it needs to get. With different illnesses, we often think we want to stop what the body's doing, but what the body's actually doing is ridding itself of what it doesn't need. And it's responding the way it's supposed to. And when we stop it, we just prolong it. Because it has to get rid of it. We just often, because we don't want to be uncomfortable as parents, we don't want our kids to be uncomfortable. And sometimes it's okay that they're uncomfortable because their bodies are doing what it's supposed to do.
Right. Yeah. And I think it's important, you don't construe things as not serious, or certainly there's been in this whole last year and a half, people have lost, people have suffered.
Absolutely.
But I think to the point what you're saying, just as, not medical advice, but from one mom's heart to another, that, when you begin to understand how your body is made and the systems and how they fight, how that God has built you and equipped you with tremendous tools and systems inside of you, that then I think one of the beauties of natural support for health and wellness is they go in, they seek to aid how those natural systems already are designed to work.
Right.
And, we've heard a lot about, people in this season who, the antibodies and things that happen as a result of illness and not being well, and that those are some of the most powerful options for staying healthy and well. And it just seems that one of the greatest leverages for fear in our society is ignorance. Now, when people hear that word, maybe it's offensive at first, but in reality, ignorance just means you don't know.
Right.
And we've all been in that situation, we've all been in a place where we don't know. And we've had friends who've come alongside of us and said, hey, I can help you with this. I know something about this. And it's a great blessing when somebody shares that knowledge and enables us and empowers us then to make those decisions. you've probably all seen so many times in your life where you name the arena and people make decisions based out of fear because they don't understand and they don't have knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And we've all done that. And so I think in this idea of lowering fear, what we're talking about here is we're talking about boosting the immunity lowers the fear because it involves knowledge. It involves education. It involves, I'm sure, Amber, you can speak to this as a mom. It's probably very unempowering to feel like as a mom that you're shooting in the dark.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think another way to lower that fear, like you talked about, like moms coming alongside moms and sharing that is making sure that you have connections that are like-minded to you, because I've been in many situations where in that moment I was fearful because it was my child, and I've been able to call another mom or someone who had been where I had been and be like, hey, I can't think straight right now. Can you come alongside and help me? What would I do if I weren't scared right now? And I think it's just empowering. And I think God created us, for, it talks about in the Bible about how the older women should counsel the younger women, or, share that. I mean, you can probably quote it and I can't right now, but
that was pretty good.
But that's what, it's important that we are, that we have people that we can learn from and that walk beside us, because there are times, even if you are empowered and you have the knowledge, fear can creep in when it's your child or you're in a stressful situation. And so being able to call and be like, because I've been there in a very scary situation with my children where I was like, hey, Chase, I need you to call this person because I trust her and I trust that she would help me decide something right now that I'm too fearful to decide. Does that make sense? So I think having people that you can call on, it helps you reduce your fear, because then you're like, if I get in this situation, I can call this, if I get where I'm scared, I can call someone who can talk to me from a outside emotional point of view. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does totally. I think that you see there, that's the power of community.
Right.
And I think that's been an added challenge in this whole situation the last year or two. Is it feels like in some ways society's been more fractionalized. Mm-hmm. People are at home. They're not out. They're not having community as much as maybe I think that's happening more so now. Then you've got all these other walls of division or points of social conflict that have been erected that further divide people, and it has the tendency to make social units of community flat apart,
right? Unless
it's managed very carefully. And to your point, there's something very empowering about, I've seen this in my family, where you have women who have had moms who've had experience with different things, even natural childbirth for those who do that. Mm-hmm. And they come around younger ladies and they encourage them and they help them. It's going to be okay. I've been there. Here's what you do for A, B, and C. Here was my experience and what I did and what helped me. And that whole experience of community, which in a digital sense, we strive to create and facilitate here at OLIAP, but even more so in the Young Living community, the power of people who get together with shared experience and get to share their testimony.
I think one of the best things about that, or one of the biggest attestments to that, is you hear that old saying of it takes a village to mm-hmm. raise a child, and we think it's just that only affects
like childcare,
like I need my mom to watch my kids for the night, or I need this. It goes way beyond that, and it goes to what she was saying about you lean on and not necessarily elder women, you just lean on women who have, specifically talking about moms, you lean on moms who have been through these instances. They know that fact, and so we have our oldest child's 13. So I know for 13 years, Amber and myself has called on, the ladies that we've trusted, literally trusted the lives of our kids with, to, in these instances of, what do we need to do in this situation because I can't think. And being that that's happened over the past 13 years, I can see from the outside that now she has kind of become one of those moms who has been through the situations, and there are now younger moms that will call on her in those situations of, hey, I don't know what to do in this situation. I can't think straight. What should I do? Right. And so it's such a blessing that those generational teachings are being passed down, and still being passed down, even though they don't seem like it sometimes.
Well, I think that's the beauty and the power of community. That's one of the intended consequences of relationship.
Right.
You know, is that you have those conversations and you have those relationships where all of the stuff of life comes up, and you can share openly and freely without fear of being, censored or stopped, or because that's what friends do. Friends share from their heart what they've learned and what
Right.
they found valuable, right? And where they've had to grow or change. It doesn't matter what the topic is, right? Whether it's health and wellness or financial or, Chase, you've been over in some amazing journeys with the Young Living Foundation, helping, speaking of taking a village, building homes, houses, helping people with, Jesus says, about having food, with food and raiment, whatever, shelter, be content. Well, that literally was, they didn't even have that. And you see
Right.
the power of community helping people to do that.
Right.
And I think in this context here, again, this theme of back to school and boosting this idea of immune system, right, and immune support and lowering fear. The basic idea here is that the Bible says that perfect love casts out fear. And it's not that we don't say there's danger here or there's hardship here. We don't stick our head in the sand. Just like God never tells us to stick our head in the sand when we have to address the hard places of our lives. But that perfect love casts out fear because that love is predicated on knowledge, right? When we come to know who God is, then we come to love him and to want to live our lives for him.
Right.
And it's the same thing in all these other areas of life, right? Love is predicated upon knowledge, which therefore drives out fear. It doesn't mean that you don't recognize the challenges and the reality of what you're facing, but you don't fundamentally move from a place of fear.
Right.
You fundamentally move from a place of confidence based in truth and knowledge and reality. And so as we get ready to sign off here, again, back to school, boosting immunity, lowering fear. Before we sign off, Amber, if there's just a message that you could share with moms out there that you'd like to encourage them to live in a place of confidence as they face the school year, what would you like to tell them?
I would just like to tell them, just like, be prepared. Like I said, when I first started, like my medicine cabinet, my wellness cabinet is always stocked. I'm always, I want to be aware of what I can and can't do. So the more prepared you are, that's where the knowledge comes from. So you're not fearful, so if you have all of the things that in your, and all the things and all of the community people, the connections where, if I have a question, I could call this person, that kind of thing. It's just being prepared. And with back to school, assuming my kids are going to be exposed to stuff, because they probably are.
And that's normal.
That's normal. Right. And it's normal. And so knowing that, it's just knowledge. It does boil down to, like you said, knowledge is what, knowledge is what leads to love, which is what drives out fear, and so the more the less fearful you are. And that's just, it's empowering, because knowledge is empowering. Empowerment drives out the fear as well.
That's right. Amen. That's great. Well, so here we are encouraging you back to school. We're going to encourage you to boost your immunity, to lower your fear, and to use, as Amber just said, great advice, use the tools and use the community. And the rest of the episode in this podcast, we will dedicate to helping you find those tools and that community to do that very thing. So for OILAP, I'm Ernie Yarbrough.
And I'm Chase.
And I'm Amber Harrison.
Encouraging you to face, not with fear, but with knowledge of a boosted immune system, health and wellness, a new school year with excitement and joy.